السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بكم أيها الطلاب الكرام. اليوم سنأخذ الدرس السابع الجزء الثاني. Today we're going to take lesson 7 part 2. If you would turn to page 40, this is where we left off. We have at the top of the page ما تلك بيضة. What is that? That is an egg. Now we use اسم الإشارة للبعيد. We use the demonstrative pronoun for distance using تلك and ذلك because it's far away. هذه سيارة المدرس وتلك سيارة المدير. Here is another concept, one that is very common and one that we need to familiarize ourselves with even more, and it is the مضاف and مضاف إليه. This one, the مضاف, the حركة on that word is going to be whatever that word is doing in the sentence. So it doesn't mean it's going to end with ضمتين, فتحتين, كسرتين, whatever. It can be whatever is happening to this word in the sentence, it will change. مضاف itself doesn't have any bearing on what should be the حركة at the end of that word. But it does have something. The مضاف doesn't accept تنوين. So it's either going to be the ضمة, فتحة, or كسرة. It doesn't accept tanween. It can be ضمتين, فتحتين, كسرتين. Next, we take the مضاف إليه. The مضاف إليه ends in the مجرور state, which is going to be ends in a كسرتين or a كسرة, for now at least. We learn later that there are other symbols of مجرور, like adding a ya when you say مسلمون and مسلمين. Same thing with the muthanna. You say طالباني and then you also say طالبيني. So we know that there's other symbols, but for now it ends in the majrur state, kasratain and kasra. That's what the mudafun ilayh is going to be. An example is like in the sentence when he says هذه سيارة. This does not have alif and lam. This should be your first indicator that this word is a mudaf, because a mudaf can't accept the tanween. سيارة المدير, and this is how we conclude this mudaf and mudafun ilayh. The mudafun ilayh usually will have an alif and lam on it, and it will come in the majrur state. So the first step to finding out mudaf and mudafun ilayh, it's two words, or two parts I should say. The first word will not have tanween. The second one will usually have alif and lam, and it will end in kasra. Now, for example, you want to say, or this is the most easiest one to remember, Baytu Allah. Who? That's for you guys. Baytullahu? No, because actually I said that backwards. This thing is the one that belongs to the second one. So the mudaf is being attributed to the first one. The first item belongs to the second word, or the first person belongs to the second word, or is related to the second word. So here we have two things I want to mention. Baytullah, the house of Allah. So this belongs to Allah. So now that we know that, we know that it can't end with dhamma there. It's got to end with kasra because here is mudafun ilayh, and this is mudaf. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. Let's erase this and we'll take another example. From the book, Sayyaratul Mudiri. Right? Oh, I did that one first. It should have been Sayyaratul Mudarris. Al-Mudarris. The teacher's car. You start over here, the mudafun ilayh. The teacher's car. Or you say, the car of the teacher. I prefer to say it this way. Allah's house, the teacher's car. Why? Because it has this alif and lam here, right? And I want to keep that in my translation. So I'm going to say the teacher's car instead of saying the car of, because there's no alif and lam connected to the sayyara. So that's why I prefer to keep it the other way. But if you were to say the car of the teacher, it means the same thing. Now, let's take some real life usage. It's not that you wouldn't use that in real life, but something you might say. You might say you wanted, or Rasulullah. Rasulullah. What does it do? Rasulu and Allahi. You ever notice how people whose name is Abdullah, they always call them Abdullahi? You ever know why? It's because mudafun ilayhi and mudaf. This word is mudaf and this one is mudafun ilayhi. So this is being attributed to Allah. That's why it's always ending Abdullahi. You're not going to see Abdullahu or Abdullaha. Excuse me. That's why you see that. Their name is always Abdullahi. Another word that you might say, darsu ash-shaykh. The shaykh's lesson. The shaykh's lesson. Darsu shaykh. All right? You might say, Baytu Muhammadin. If you want to say someone's house. Baytu Muhammadin. So you would just say the house and then you would add whatever was being attributed to. Now, let's move on. And now that we have a general idea, not general, but we have a pretty good idea about what's mudaf, what's mudafun ilayh. The mudaf is the thing that you are attributing to this second word. This second word ends in kasra or kasratain, or in the majroor state would be a more accurate description. He says here, Asa'atu Abbasin hadihi. Is this Abbas's watch? And if you notice the sentence, the alif in the front, that is used to say is, are, did, does. It'll be used a number of ways. It's not just that alif is for one thing. That alif is for asking a question. You can almost put it in front of verbs. You could put it in front of nouns. You can put it in front of pronouns. That alif is multi-use. You don't have to say, do I use is here? Do I use are? Do I use did? That alif is everything you're going to need mostly. Asa'atu Abbasin hadihi. And you can switch that sentence. You can say, ahadihi sa'atu Abbasin. Is this Abbas's watch? Right? Either way, that works. La hadihi sa'atu Hamidin. No, this is Hamid's watch. Tilka sa'atu Abbasin. And he just keeps going about using more examples for hada and hadihi and tilka, and that's good practice for you to know when to use each one. ذلك ديك وتلك دجاجة. That is a rooster and that is a dajaja. We had to change ismul ishara to match the gender. Dik, you use dhalika because it's masculine. Dajaja, you use tilka. Let's look at the tamareen on the bottom. The tamareen on the bottom are simply just going through what we've already taken before, so that's what we're going to do. هذه مدرسة. He says, اقرأ واكتب, firstly, read and write. هذه مدرسة, this is a school. وتلك جامعة, and that's a university. ذلك حمار وتلك بقرة. That's a donkey and that is a cow. Number 3, السؤال الثالث. أذلك مسجد? Is that a masjid? لا تلك مدرسة. No, that is a school. Number 4, or السؤال الرابع. هذا جمل وتلك ناقة. This is a male camel and that is a female camel. You say jamal for a male camel and naqa for a female camel. Number 5. هذه مدرسة, مدرسة وتلك طالبة. If you look at number 5 and number 1, you see the word madrasa and mudarrisa. They're spelled the exact same. And the only way you can tell that the one is madrasa and the other is mudarrisa is either by the harakat or the context. Here, you can tell by context. Because the next word is وَتِلْكَ طَالِبَةٌ. You're not going to get a girl confused with a school. A female student confused with a school, right? Not going to say, oh, that's that person right there is a madrasa. No. You can tell that that's a person. So that's what you're going to need to do sometimes when you read Arabic, is use context of the sentence to figure out if it's one word or another, because sometimes the harakat are not always there. هذه مدرسة. This is a teacher. وتلك طالبة. And that is a female student. السؤال السادس. هذا كلب وذلك قط. This is a dog. That is a cat. السؤال السابع. هذا بيت المؤذن. هذا بيت المؤذن. This is the mu'adhin's house. The one who calls the adhan is the mu'adhin. وتلك حديقة التاجر. And that is the merchant's garden. All right? And that is the merchant's garden. And that's the end of page 40, and we will continue in our next lesson, inshallah ta'ala, to complete page 41. And we might have enough time to do page 42. We'll see, inshallah. All right. نكتفي بهذا القدر. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we always do, اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وإلى اللقاء والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.